And let's talk about Allison Mack. So yeah, Allison Mack, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the fact that she was going to be, since she was released from prison, she was going to be sitting down for an exclusive interview where she was going to tell her side of the story of the NXIVM cult. So yeah, I didn't hear the interview, but I saw that there was some people that was talking about it. So I was like, "Chill, let's talk about it here." And here we are. So as Chloe Sullivan, shout out to Comic Book Movie for this story, Allison Mack was a huge part of Smallville because I remember like when I watched Smallville, she was like one of my favorite characters. Her and damn, what was the black kid name? Who went he wound up a mess too. So I'm like, in a way, was this show cursed? But then again, Tom Welling didn't have no issues till after he left the show. Because remember, he got in that drunk driving situation years later. And then Michael Rosenbaum, he's rebounded wholeheartedly, with his career. He's got the Inside of You podcast. He's been doing other things, and his career has been thriving. So they said, while it's unlikely that she'd have gone on to do much more than the odd TV role, the actress would have surely been popular on the convention scene among fans of the long running Superman series. Yeah, that's definitely something I could have seen her do. She could have definitely made a killing doing panels, kind of like Rose McGowan or Danielle Harris. Like, she could have definitely had a big career doing the panel situation and making money off her merch and doing meet and greets. So ultimately, Mack ended up spending nearly 2 years in federal prison for her role in the sex cult NXIVM. Now she's telling her story in a 7-episode podcast, CBC's Uncover Allison After NXIVM, which premieres today. The leader of the cult, Keith Raniere, and he ain't getting out of jail. He's serving a 120-year sentence for sex trafficking, racketeering, fraud, and other crimes. Billed as a self-improvement group, the reality was far more sinister. Mack was one of his masters tasked with recruiting sexual slaves, delivering them to Rainier, who often branded and SA'd them. In the first episode of the podcast, Mack admits to being willfully ignorant of much of what was happening in NXIVM, saying, I purposely kept myself from hearing things that would have been uncomfortable for me. So you was aware of everything that was going on, but the minute you felt like, oh, I'm going to channel my inner actress and disassociate myself from the reality, so I'm going to pretend to be this little character over here. See, I'm thinking of it in actors' terms, where it's like, oh, I'm going to just separate, move that over there. I'm gonna focus on this. I'm gonna do all the things I need to do that's gonna benefit me because of the power and everything that was coming along with it, while all these other people suffering. Because he ain't gonna do that mess to me. But all that did was put your ass in jail. So you can't disassociate yourself from a situation that you were equal participant in. So now, believing that Rainier was manipulating and grooming her as he was the other women in the cult, she explains, if I recognize that Keith was manipulating all of us, and that is what wait, and that this was a strategy for his own perversion. I had to acknowledge what I had chosen and that I had hurt people. When it was revealed that Rainier had been exploiting underage girls a year after Matt was first charged, the actress pleaded guilty to racketeering charges and turned on her former leader. She remembers thinking, I don't know how this is true, but I'm going to plead guilty because I am guilty. And I do believe that's true. And I'm going to trust that I'll be in therapy for years after this and figure out how this happened. What I want to know is how did you get caught up in this from the beginning to the point of you saying that you were groomed, but you were collecting girls for him to do the same thing to you? Was that a way like you were Ghislaine Maxwell? Was Ghislaine really a victim? I don't think she was. I think, sometimes they say women pimps or people that do this kind of work, they way worse because there's that emotional situation. Whereas like men are more like dominant, it's like they're gonna whip you into submission and keep you in line. Women try to use that whole emotional situation where they get in your head and do all kinds of other stuff to keep you dependent on them. Now, Matt goes into the ways Rainier entrapped, gaslit, and manipulated her and reveals that she experienced sexual exploitation as a child, both on and off set. When she told NXIVM's leader, he allegedly said he could help her with that by being physically intimate with the Smallville star. So, okay, so I was like, I should have just kept reading. So, a lot of times, people who are victims of abuse have a hard time noticing the signs, and they attempt, I guess, what's the word? abusers can always sniff out the abused. And so a lot of those patterns, if you're not aware to look out for those signs and you haven't been helped by the right people, they come in and find ways to manipulate you into doing the things that they want you to do. So she was already saying that she was abused as a child. She was exploited sexually as a kid, both on and off set. You kind of continue to attract those situations because you're in a state of vulnerability. So despite offering plenty of insights or excuses for her actions, Mack admits to victimizing other women and freely describes herself as emotionally aggressive and callous. Say, I was the go between him and this person, she said of one of Rainier's victims. It was my job to relay what to do with him for her growth. The more she said, I'm scared, I don't want to do it, the more I would say, you need to do it. And the longer you wait, the more consequences there will be. The coercion started, and the pressure, and the pressures, and the pressure. Wait, she said, and the pressure, and the pressure, and the pressure. And then it was like the R word. Yes, I was excited by the power, and I felt having these young, beautiful women look to me and listen to me. And yes, the sexuality of it was exciting. So in a way, she kind of was the Ghislaine Maxwell of the situation. Because I think whether or not Ghislaine was abused by Jeffrey Epstein, I do believe that Ghislaine was excited by the power she felt over having these young girls look up to her and listen to her, and her having that control over other people. Because where she felt like she didn't have control over her own life because she was a victim of sexual abuse herself, you pass those same poisons down to others. Because as long as you ain't got to deal with it with your own mess, you pass that down to some other people. I be getting my Sigmund Freud on. So I said, yes, I was excited. She also said, people assume I'm this pervert, but that's not what happened. What it was for me, people can believe me or people can think I'm full of shit and not listen, but I feel like I at least have to say it out loud for myself once. Matt goes into the ways that Rainier entrapped, gaslit, and manipulated her and reveals that she experienced. Oh, wait, hold on. Why am I reading the same thing again? Um, so yeah, so I think that was it. It's like basically it said so far as like she felt like she at least had to say it out loud for herself in that whole situation. So I haven't heard it. I need to find out where exactly you can hear this situation at, because I'm like, this is a relatively interesting article. Let me see if there's any more that was added to this situation. Um, Oh, so yeah, this is other thing too. They said while Mac's acting career is over, she's been pursuing a master's in social work since being released from prison. She also is married to Frank Meenick. I'm like, a Meink, I think is how you say it, the Meeink. Now that's what gets interesting. Now she's the mess she was in. She married a former neo-Nazi who now lectures against radicalization. Child, where do y'all find these people? But I'm like, hopefully she's getting the help that she needs. With her getting the social work, that might actually be interesting because it's like, I was a victim who's now taking my life back and those sort of things. Same thing like with, even though I don't think her situation is the same because she wasn't doing nothing this extreme, but Eliza Dushku went through something similar where she was SA'd on the set of, I believe, wasn't it True Lies? At 12, she was SA'd by someone like a stunt coordinator. Um, she mentioned that. So wait, what is going on? I don't know. Something Facebook is acting up again. So, um, yeah, she was talking about how she was essayed by some coordinator. Then it was another incident happened. So I think it was like two separate incidents, and she quit acting. Oh yeah, it was the Bull situation with Michael Weatherly, who they just gave a job to on that stupid show over at CBS. I don't watch that, whatever the name of that damn show is. But so she went and sued, got her money, and then she went to school, got her bachelor's, and now she's majoring in doing social work and taking this opportunity to help people out. So hopefully this is what Allison Mack is doing as well. I mean, I ain't saying that, she's innocent what she did. She did her time and now she's sharing her story. And I'm hoping that she generally has learned her lesson and is not out here just going through the motions of just trying to pretend like, you know, oh, I just want to get on here and tell my side of the story, but you ain't keeping it real with everything. You ain't really learned your lesson. So shout out to you. and all that good stuff. And I definitely want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of this story regarding what Allison Mack had to say regarding, telling her side of the story with this whole sex cult? So whatever and are you going to be listening to this podcast that she's doing? And have you listened to the episode? What are your overall thoughts? So whatever those thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below.